You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. So it begins again. Welcome to CreepGeeks Podcast. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
This is Season 9, Episode 332.
Gene Hackman death, mysterious illness, X37B photograph, Bigfoot Cali Cryptid, Area 51, and news.
Yeah. So, welcome back to the podcast. If this is your very first time tuning in, we're a paranormal and weird news podcast where we talk about paranormal and weird news.
Yes.
Yes, and we broadcast from our underground bunker in an undisclosed location in western North Carolina. And that's about all there is. But it's just been kind of one of those things, man. Kind of working towards spring. The weather's been weird.
Yeah.
You know, the U.S. is weird. Things are just weird. A lot of weird stuff going on in the world. Happens a lot. So just remember, there's those of you out there that hate everything and those of you out there that love everything. And we can all come together and cancel each other out. So just everybody just needs to settle down. Let's just all settle down.
No.
Yes. Okay. Just saying. People are just getting reactive. Crazy. It's like, for what? And so in this particular podcast, we don't really talk politics at all, unless it affects me. And so far, what I found is that it doesn't really affect me. It's true.
Oh, God.
Because I've seen it. I've seen it where it's like, I'll look at a Bigfoot post, and I don't know where, I don't know what side they're on. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, this person sucks. And it's like, okay, great. And then the other person's like, well, that person sucks. And then your whole family sucks. And they're all talking politics.
One of our friends posted that last night. He was complaining.
It's not just him. It's like, okay, so he posted like Beans.
Yeah.
He's been posting that on TikTok, and I've been jumping in there like, yeah, right out of the gate, people just fly in there and throw out some politics stuff. It's like your very first your breath in that thread.
Yeah.
Is just posting up some politics. And when you do that, I delete them if I see them. And somebody jumps in there, and the very first thing they say is, your side sucks, whether it's like Democrat or liberal or whatever, Republican.
Yeah. I
turbo delete your ass because I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. And so,
because two reasons. Yeah. You're stupid. Whatever. If that's how you lead, if that's the face you put in the door, you're stupid.
Yeah. And
I don't want to hear it because you've got nothing that's going to be contributory to the, it's like, do you think is Bigfoot a liberal or a Republican? Let's start that on fire. We'll set there, Western North Carolina already has wildfires. Let's just throw that in there and set everything on fire. It's just so dumb.
Like our friend Seth posted something similar last night because he owns a business.
I've seen it a couple times where he's just like, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, he owns a business. He's pushing content and advertising about paranormal stuff. And the commentary on it just devolves into politics. He's like, I'm just trying to run a Kickstarter and a business,
like,
y'all.
Just settle down.
We're
here talking about UFO, ghosts, weird news, and movies and stuff. We're not here to talk about politics because whatever side you're on, you suck. Right there, we all win now. Seriously, stop. Just settle down. You know what I mean?
And it's. I find it amusing that it's like trickled all the way into the paranormal community. I work in tourism now, so it's like a super hot topic for some reason.
It's just like,
and it's
dumb. Quit.
Yeah. There's no reason this beautiful photo of a waterfall or this photo of a family eating a hamburger has to have,
or a seductive squirrel. Right? It's just dumb.
Or this blurry picture of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't even look at like Facebook and Reddit and stuff because it's like, hey, what do you think about this pocket knife for my EDC, everyday carry? And it's like, well, this person sucks. This is right out of the gate. You know what I mean? You must be one of those people. It's just like, what?
This was obviously posted by an American.
I just want to know the knife is in a reasonable price range for me to be interested. Now, the opposite side of that, people will jump in there and they'll bust out, like, look at this great knife. I'm like, that looks pretty nice. And then they're like, it's only $379. I'm like, no, not at all. You know, because I'm not going to carry it, right? Would you go around carrying a $400 knife out in the woods to do what?
Yeah.
Stab at something so you could just basically just lose it in the woods and spend all day long running around going, man, I can't find my knife. And no, man, I don't care about all that stuff. I don't really want to care about politics. I don't care about people's stupid opinions. I don't care about my own stupid opinions. You know?
Okay.
I forgot where I was going with this. I'm just, we're having pizza after dinner. I'm going to make some, and by me, Omi's probably going to make some flatbread pizza, and we're going to put stuff on top of it.
No, you cook.
It's a pizza cheat. No, I'm not cooking. I'm going to be editing the podcast when we're done. You can't spend 6 minutes to unwrap the thing, throw some tomato sauce on it, with a little bit of olive oil mixed in with some Italian seasoning, and put that thick pepperoni. Cheese is already pre-shredded in the bag. I mean, come on.
What kind of America am I living in where I have to make my own dinner?
If you think about it, back in the olden days, you'd have been working on that pizza some of the time you got up.
That's true.
And this is, it's like, ooh, getting all fancy by cracking open a pack and pulling out some Aldi's flatbread bread.
Yeah. But, hey, I mean,
it'll be delicious or not. But see, that's the trick. You get the thick cut pepperoni. So if you don't want to cook the pizza, you can just grab 2 handfuls of that and eat that and get heartburn later. It's pretty good. I've been sampling it. I'm like, why does it taste better now?
The thick cut Aldi's pepperoni for $7.99 here in North Carolina.
Is that before or after tariffs?
I know, right? It's actually really good. And
yeah, it's pretty tasty.
I compare it to like another very popular pepperoni.
And if you pull it out of the freezer, it's like eating a little meat popsicle. It's pretty tasty.
Okay,
meat
we're going to get into the podcast now.
All right, so we do have a lot of stuff to talk about, and there is a couple different ways you can get a hold of the podcast. We do have a toll-free number that you can call. I'll give it to you right now real fast, 575-208-4025. Now, if you didn't catch that number and you'd like to share with us, you can go to CreepGeeks.com, and you'll find it there.
And you can also use the Contact Us form that's on that website.
Yes.
Yep. Or reach out to us on social media, pretty much at CreepGeeks or CreepGeeks Pod. You're going to find us on most social media platforms.
Yes. And be sure to title your comment Politics so I can turbo delete you. Actually, I can't even hardly find the messages that we get half the time for some reason. It's like, oh.
I think it's because the Google form, I need to change ownership on it. So,
something.
Yeah.
Or Google saying, hey, we need to authorize and get your secondary authorization. You're like, cool, let me enter in my little code. Okay, now let's go ahead and send a number to a tablet you haven't used in 3 years. We'll wait. It's like, what are you doing?
We'll wait, but then the countdown is 10.
It's like,
9,
man, I've signed
8,
in. I've used my password, and then I've used a code. Now I'm supposed to go find some tablet I used to have. It's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
The world is so safe, we can't even do anything. But there's like robots attacking people, all sorts of dumb stuff. And then on top of that, we got to worry about some disturbing illness that's coming out of, like, killed so far like 50 people from the time I put the article in here. Mm-hmm. Right, this comes from Unilad. Yeah. I don't know how accurate these guys are, but it's like, okay, so we're just waiting for another pandemic, right? I'm like, oh, here we go.
I know.
Here we go. Right, so there's some kind of mysterious illness going around, and evidently it's killed 50 people. I didn't even put the measles outbreak that's happening in third world country, the United States. Right? How did we get this measles epidemic?
Did you miss the?
Of course, I missed it.
Huge outbreak of dysentery in Oregon.
What? So now we got measles, amoebic dysentery.
So. Millennials, our moment has come. We now have dysentery on the Oregon Trail.
Wash your hands. Drink clean water, man.
Yeah. And what? After Helene, we had a huge outbreak of norovirus here in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's the cruise ship disease. So, yeah. I mean, we're good. Or illness. So more than 50 people have died in a matter of hours as a mystery illness has swept through the northwestern Congo, with multiple symptoms acting as warning signs of the condition.
Okay.
So the World Health Organization this is at the end of February, has shared news of the illness, stating that the outbreak began January 21st after 3 children in the village of Bolico ate a bat and then died within 48 hours falling ill. I don't know if that's real or not, but so far, the illness has resulted in 419 recorded cases and 53 deaths. This wasn't there a movie? Except they're eating a monkey.
Was that Outbreak?
Did they eat the monkey, or did they just get infected by it? But either way, here's some symptoms that you may or may not have if you have this mysterious illness. So let's go ahead and list them off for you. So this way, you can spend your weekend thinking you may have something crazy.
Yeah.
Fever, vomiting, internal bleeding, muscle aches, and fatigue and diarrhea.
Internal bleeding. How do you check for that?
Well, I'm sure somebody would probably be doing the checking for you. Now, we've watched enough medical shows, and in our long sprint of ER reruns, they can just tap on your stomach and tell you that you have internal bleeding.
But here's the thing. These are indicators that are known as hemorrhagic fever symptoms and are associated with infectious diseases that can be life-threatening. And see, this is where my understanding of illnesses and stuff, this exceeds that because, hemorrhagic fever is one thing, and then there's, I guess, a hemorrhagic fever family, so you could have anything in that family of diseases.
Yeah.
And viral hemorrhagic fevers can damage the walls of tiny blood vessels, making them leak, and that's how the internal bleeding happens. It also prevents blood from clotting. Examples of such fevers include Crimean Congo, hantavirus, and Lassa, as well as the aforementioned Ebola. Hantavirus was in New Mexico, like the year we moved there.
Hantavirus is still in New Mexico. It's also in Arizona and other places, too.
And they post it up. They post up little warnings. The park rangers usually post up little warnings in front of national forests and national monuments if they have more than one indicator showing that it might happen to you. I remember a lot of times when I'd hike in the Sandias, early in the season, you would see the sign saying, hey, there's an active plague risk, and at least X reports of hantavirus. But, yeah, that's great. This is really great.
It's just what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And I went and you were like, I don't know if this is real or not. I did go ahead and fact-check the article. AP News has reported it, CNN has reported it, and so has ABC. Oh.
How much are they paying you?
The New York Times also reported it. Fantastic.
Yeah, but if a bunch of people report it, it doesn't necessarily make it true. Because they all run off the same news feed. We used to have AP News downstairs from where we used to work in New Mexico. Yeah. You could just go in there and pay them like $50 and they'll run whatever you want.
No, actually,
it's more than that. I know that. I don't need you to fact check me on the price. I was just throwing out a number. I could have said $1 million and you'd done the same thing. No, it's less than that. Just follow along. Just saying. We could do that. We could scrape up some money and put out our own little news release and say, where do you want to go? Everywhere.
I have to pay for press releases, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, good for you. Do I get a discount because I know you?
No. Okay.
That's, why are you even there? If I can't take advantage of whatever it is that you're doing at a discount. I like discounts.
Anyways. Yeah, so. But, if AP reports it, I tend to go, all right, this is most likely genuine. Kind of like I couldn't find an AP link to that robot attack thing that I was talking about before the show.
Well, probably because they paid and then, the time ran out. And they're like, oh, we're only going to run this for...
That's PR Newswire where the time runs out. So.
Well, maybe that's who was downstairs. So it was PR Newswire. I can't remember. I bet Dave from New Mexico knows. We'll wait and see what he says.
So... But
Any minute now.
It's what.
So speaking of New Mexico,
yeah.
So Gene Hackman died. His wife died.
Yeah.
His dog died. All in Santa Fe.
Yes.
So Gene Hackman, famous actor, did a lot of great roles. And really good actor. This guy was like 95. Yeah. And every picture they're showing is from like Gene Hackman when he was like 60 or something, right? Mm-hmm. But. Okay, so he did a couple of different movies, Oscar movies, right? Like French Connection, Superman, things like that, right? His wife was 65. Doesn't say how old her dog was. But see, here's the thing. So the bodies were found in the house, right? Yeah. The doors were cracked, or one of the doors was cracked. or, slightly open. The wife was found in the bathroom with a bottle of pills, on the ground, right? They didn't say she took it. There just happened to be a bottle of pills on the ground next to a space heater. And a dog was found somewhere in the house dead as well. And they say that foul play is not suspected at this time, right? But as it progressed, they're like, these bodies were found. They were, quote unquote, almost mummified.
Oh, the dog was found. One of the couple's German shepherds was found deceased less than 15 feet away from Hackman's wife in a closet, while their other 2 dogs were found alive in the bathroom near Arakawa and outside. So one dog was outside, and the other dog was found alive.
So the idea originally is that a gas leak or something took them out. But there's a theory that I just seen yesterday. I was watching a clip from the sheriff in Santa Fe.
Yeah,
he says that the idea is, that they had passed away weeks before they were found, since that was their sort of decomposed state. Mm-hmm. But the idea is that Hackman suffered some kind of cardiac event because he was taking cardiac medication.
Yeah, and
went down, and his wife went to go get the pills, and possibly while she was getting the pills, maybe fell, hit her head in the bathroom, and fell and died in the bathroom.
Oh.
Because it looked like Hackman was going out. He had his sunglasses, all that, keys and stuff like that. But, there's been, it was like, started to become a beginning of a celebrity thing, right? Because Michelle Trachtenberg died, and people are like, why did she die? She was so young, but she was also evidently an alcoholic who had a liver replacement. And then, if you have a liver replacement and you keep drinking, you can cause yourself serious issues. So.
Oh, and getting back to that, so the tests were negative for carbon monoxide.
Yeah,
and I think it's weird because it's like one of the articles says that despite what sounds like a very plausible theory that you found, they're still listing this death as suspicious.
Yeah, because it is suspicious. They can't really figure out what's going on. I guess so far, but I mean, he's got a little bit of property out there where nobody's kind of that close to him, but that's the kind of thing that can happen. If you're out there living around the desert, even in Santa Fe, which is kind of populated, if you get, I guess maintenance workers showed up or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And one person was like, we couldn't get in because it was locked, but then the door was found open, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But yeah, he was 95. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's foul play.
Yeah.
Because even if you're mummified, if somebody whacked you over the head with something, you'd still be able to see some evidence of that. I mean,
Yeah.
So I don't really know, but it just seemed crazy. I was like, what? But he's like semi-mummified.
Yeah.
Like
but here's the thing. The reason that is because they're dealing with conflicting things that caused advanced decomp, like the fact that, yes, it was kind of cold in the house, but also there was a space heater near her. So part of her body experienced one type of decay and the other part did not. So that sucks.
And it's super dry.
Yeah, it is.
Very dry in New Mexico.
It's so dry that there are misidentifications.
Less than 30% humidity a lot of times.
Yeah. Years ago on the internet, and they still float around to this day, there's like, supposed chupacabra corpse found. And that's not it. What happens is coyotes pass away in the desert, and it's so dry that the remains dry out intact and
desiccation.
Desiccation. So you'll have an entire coyote corpse that's desiccated to the point of merely weighing a couple of pounds, and then when the New Mexico winds come in, they blow that full-on chupacabra-looking corpse up into power lines or against a cactus, and you're like, oh my god, it's a chupacabra. No, it is a coyote.
It blows tumbleweeds around.
Yeah, so
Russian thistle is really what a tumbleweed. Remember that one time, it's about probably 5 years ago, I got contacted by a dude in Arizona who's like, I have a chupacabra skeleton that I am willing to show you. And you can put me on your podcast and we can talk all about it. And he sent me a picture, and I did not respond back to him because I'm like, okay, that's a cat, and it's dried out.
Oh, gosh.
Doesn't look like a chupacabra to me.
Yeah.
It's either a cat or a fox. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't like that. It's not a chupacabra because it still had all crazy hair on it and stuff. So I was like, I don't know. In other words, I had seen something like that before whilst living in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of nutty, man. With the whole
It's also nutty that it's like, okay, these are actors we know, and we either grew up with or we admired, and as these actors get older or retire from the spotlight, and they kind of just drop off your radar, and now some of them are coming back, like, like this has happened, or, I recently found out.
Well, he just decided he was done.
Yeah.
And he just didn't tell anybody. He's like, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
But he bought property in New Mexico a long time ago.
Yeah.
So he got into Santa Fe when Santa Fe was cheap.
Not cheap, but cheaper than what it is.
Well, let's go back 30 years. Yeah. 30 years cheap in New Mexico is still cheap compared to anything now.
It's true. Yeah. So
that's like when you ride around with your parents and they go, we could have bought that land back in the 60s. And it's just like, now it's worth like $1 billion. And you're like, yeah. That's kind of what happens, right? Land never depreciates in value, I guess, until it goes away.
Yeah.
Or it gets polluted to the point where it's not worth doing. But, yeah. So far, I don't know. I haven't really seen much movement in this case. And I was going to play a little clip of the New Mexico sheriff, but
I do.
I'm not going to.
I do want to share this quote by the Santa Fe mayor, Alan Weber. He's like, he's a global superstar, and he is part of Santa Fe's local community. He's a horrible villain and a really decent human being. That's how I describe Gene Hackman.
Yes, he's probably that way in real life, too.
Yeah. Really decent human being, but a horrible villain.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I seen him in that I paid attention to was Royal Tenenbaums. I thought he was all right now.
Oh, yeah.
He did some stuff. But all right, so yeah, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. And here's something that's kind of, sort of related. As this moves into UFO stuff. Actually, it's not really related at all, other than this is a famous person. Mm-hmm. So Thomas Jane, right? Do you know who Thomas Jane is?
Yeah, he
Punisher. He played Punisher.
He had a stint as a bunch of Stephen King roles.
Yeah. But he also did one of the best science fiction sci-fi shows on television called Expanse.
Yeah.
So he was in Expanse. He's also an avid UFO guy. And he's going to be the keynote speaker at MUFON.
Oh, okay.
He's written some stuff. So he's going to be doing the Forbidden World MUFON 2025 keynote address. And he has some things that he was talking about. I think I actually recorded that to play. And the only reason why we're going to play it is probably less likely to be copyright than anything else that came. Let me see if I can find it. Was it here?
It's going to be called Forbidden Worlds. And I'm interested right now in the universe that we're trying to discover. We're trying to discover how the universe really works, what life is all about. How does if there are alien intelligences with civilizations on a whole bunch of other planets, then what that obviously tells us some really important things about biology, about evolution, and about how the universe works, and I think it might be a lot stranger than we've been led to believe. We are being inhibited from making these discoveries. I think that if our civilization were allowed to play out without the secrecy and the subterfuge, we'd be living in a very different world today. So obviously it's very important for the power structures to suppress what kind of world we really live in. And so the reasons behind that are fascinating. Like, why would they want to do that? And then what exactly are they hiding? What kind of world do we really live in?
So he kind of goes on about that a little bit. And I watched enough of it to not know what he was talking about. So I'm assuming that if you go to the MUFON 2025 Forbidden Worlds convention and hear him talk, he's going to explain it a little bit more great and agonizing detail. So, but I mean, he's done some stuff I thought was pretty interesting. The Expanse was a great sci-fi show. He did Punisher, and he's done some other things too. So that's pretty cool. He's probably one of the biggest stars that MUFON has ever had at one of their things. And MUFON, I don't know how tarnished their reputation still is from things that were occurring, but It's like years. You know, how many years has to pass before you can kind of get back into the swing of things? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if he's the biggest celebrity, but I would like to see more actual interest instead of, hey, if I like aliens or if I like ghosts, that's going to get me a show. You know, like we had a couple years ago, like a year and a half ago, where suddenly if you were a celebrity that believed in the paranormal, you got a show.
Yeah. But you also got to look at it like this, though. Those same celebrities that all of a sudden like UFOs and stuff, if they create a podcast, it'll be wildly more popular than if you aren't already famous.
Okay.
So, and a lot of people had like a secret interest, but you could definitely tell the ones that had like a passing interest for popularity versus I've kind of been eyeballing this stuff my whole life and I really like it.
Yeah.
I'll use the example of Jack Osborne, right? Ozzy's kid. This dude, you know, he's in it.
Yeah.
He's been in it for a long time. So it's not like he's like, hey, I'm Jack Osborne. I'm Ozzy Osbourne's kid. Look at me. I'm going to talk about ghosts. And he's done shows. He's produced things. He's gone out and done it. You know.
Yeah, he's a perfect argument against that.
Yeah, he's kind of like, all right, you got to give him the cred because he's put in the work and he's doing the thing.
Yeah.
You know, whereas you had, I can't think of some, she was
there's a couple of pop stars.
Pop star, what was it? Yeah, who's like, I believe in ghosts and here I am and I can speak to ghosts. And it's like,
but then, you know, like on every ghost hunting show, they go into a deep explanation of what an EVP is, even though all of us know what they are.
You mean electronic voice phenomenon?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
But when they had to explain it or a spirit box, it seemed like the celebrity was like, oh.
Yeah. Another person who used to be really into it, I thought was pretty funny, was Post Malone.
Yeah,
So
but
I kind of think
that's just fun, though.
Well, he didn't have too much fun.
I know.
The whole Dybbuk box incident with what's that guy's name? Zach.
Yeah, didn't Zach Yeah, that
was I think Zach set him up and he touched it.
Yeah,
he touched the box, but Post Malone. I don't know how interested he is in that stuff anymore. Probably a lot less than when he went into it. It's kind of funny. It's like, hey man,
it wasn't just that though. Didn't he drag him to
Yeah, he went to an investigation and
a
had
spiritual
some stuff.
cleansing with some at a native pueblo. He was like, hey, let's go check out Skinwalkers or something.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was, and I was just like, dude.
You know, and evidently Post Malone's a good guy.
Yeah. Poor guy.
He was making fun of the new guy.
Man.
He's a newbie. So speaking of newbie, there's this guy called Steven Spielberg, and a long time ago he made this movie, right? And it is one of the most famous or most popular UFO type encounter movies ever, called Close Encounters, right? It's in the late 70s, early 80s when that movie came out. Great movie. It's probably the most famous UFO type movie with aliens and first encounters and contact and all that sort of thing. Well, he's making another movie, and this movie is called Disclosure.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's got Wyatt Russell, who's Kurt Russell's son. And fun fact, Kurt Russell reported the Phoenix Lights as he was flying his little small Cessna or whatever.
Yeah.
And he also is tied to New Mexico because when Hackman got property in New Mexico, evidently Kurt Russell did as well.
Yep.
This is before people started buying land in Idaho. Like Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher, when they were together, they bought like land in Idaho or somewhere like that. So, maybe it was Iowa, but they bought like a whole town. And I think this is after Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin bought a whole town. So I just remember there's like a bunch of just celebrities just buying property in the middle of nowhere, but also buying towns. And then they didn't want to pay for it. They're like, this town costs a lot of money.
No, one of them was a flop because she bought the town and then she realized that kind of the wool was pulled over her eyes because the town needed like a complete restructure overhaul of the water. And
I think that was Kim Basinger.
No, it wasn't her. It was somebody else. Because I felt so bad for her, too.
It's like you probably should have if you buy a used car, you should take it to a mechanic and have them do a little
But yeah,
inspection
Kim Basinger lost $20 million on a town.
But didn't they buy the town for like $3 million or something crazy like that? Probably cheaper to buy the town than it was to buy the property they were trying to get.
Kim bought Brazelton, Georgia for a cool $20 million. The initial plan.
Yeah, but I thought they bought somewhere else out.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Mark Cuban bought Mustang, Texas.
Well, wow. I didn't know there was a Mustang, Texas.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That was interesting. Yeah.
All these rich people buying towns.
There's actually articles called "These Rich People Bought Entire Towns."
Well, there's also a sort of loose conspiracy theory that some rich people have bought the towns because they wanted to get underneath the towns so they could build their underground bunker, which has been the trend for the past 10 years or so. These secret famous people and billionaires buying and then going underground and making their compounds and stuff for the end of the world. Yeah. So Wyatt Russell and Emily Blunt are both going to be in this new Disclosure movie that Spielberg is making, and he's making it in Jersey. And there's been a couple of pictures where it shows them kind of hanging out together, like they were filming a scene. And so the film is an original UFO story from Spielberg and David Kopp. And it's set in the universe of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's the only reason why I put this in here. Because Close Encounters of the Third Kind was a great UFO movie. And in that same sort of universe, there hasn't been much, if any, sort of follow along with it. And now all of a sudden, he's putting this in the same universe as that. It's kind of like when Marvel puts stuff in. It's like, oh, it's in the same timeline or whatever, right? Sort of the same, or not, what do you call it? Timeline, parallel?
Universe,
yeah.
Timeline, yeah.
So how that's going to relate to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I don't know. If you've never seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you probably should, because Richard Dreyfuss was amazing in that. And this was a great movie, and it still holds up. Even though, everything's kind of dated because it's a little bit old. Yeah. Did the whole canary test. And, and that movie had some stuff in it that was pretty interesting. About the idea of having, like, a massive chlorine leak in a town. We have to close it all down. We have to evacuate the people, and the government shows up, right? And the National Guard, and evacuates people whether you want to go or not, and straps gas masks on you and stuff. Kind of like the massive chlorine leak that happened at the Grand Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
Huh, shocking, right?
Yeah.
It's all tying together, folks. Yeah, boy, I can't wait for pizza. It's going to be delicious. So, I thought that was kind of neat. So, it's got Russell in it, and so Kurt Russell's son was in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, Overlord, Oppenheimer, so he's doing some things, and he was also in the show when he played in Monarch, the Apple show that talked about Godzilla and all the monsters, the kaiju. Remember that? I made you watch it every time it came on.
No.
Monarch with the big Godzilla-like monsters.
Oh, yeah, that, yeah.
Kaiju, come on, man. Yeah. Big giant monsters and big giant robots. You can't go wrong. Those are two of my favorite things from my past.
Okay.
So disappointed. Golly. Yeah. So Colin Firth is going to be in it, who did King's Speech, Kingsman. Coleman Domingo. I don't know who that is, but I think he's in The Walking Dead. But I'm kind of excited about it. So Spielberg wrote the story for this new thing that we're about to start shooting. That's what Cobb said. So he wrote the story and said, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Great." And then what if you did this and that? And he's like, "Yeah." And then, we went from there. So not saying anything at all about what the movie's actually going to be about. But it's supposed to come out in 2026 in June. And it's called Disclosure, and it's done by Universal. So if it's got a good story and it's got a little stuff behind, a little financial support behind it, plus being Spielberg and all, it might be pretty good. So I'm kind of want to keep an eye out for that. But it doesn't really say a whole lot about what it's actually about, other than it's in the Close Encounters of the Third Kind universe, and Spielberg's actually on board to do it. I think the last thing he did, sort of monster UFO related, was the 8mm, that about the kids that were making a movie.
Yeah, I think that was 8mm.
Was it called 8mm? I thought that was a serial killer movie.
Yeah, so that was the thing. I was like, why are they releasing these movies within years of each other? Yeah.
And that movie was okay, but it's kind of like, all right. He tried to make it like Goonies, but with captured alien. Yeah. Kind of seen that before. Yeah. So, the other day I showed you that picture of the Earth from way out there.
Yeah. Super 8 was the name of it.
Super 8, there we go.
Yeah, he had a producer credit on that. That was actually directed by J.J. Abrams.
Really?
Yeah.
And it wasn't that good. Wow. Yeah, it's sad, really. I mean, it was okay, but it just wasn't. Yeah. I thought it could have did better. Yeah, but I'm old enough to the point where sometimes I have to watch a movie 2 or 3 times to go, all right, I got it. But, yeah. So, in the podcast, we've talked about the top secret spy plane, X37B, at least 10 times. Just mentioned it. Hey, it came back after doing 300 days in space or whatever.
Yeah.
And it looks like a tiny, not tiny, but maybe a 1/32nd scale space shuttle.
Oh.
Yeah, about the size of a van. Like our ProMaster, about that size, roughly.
Yeah.
And so this thing gets launched, and it goes around and does whatever for however long, for whoever wants it to do it, because it's secret. And then it comes back and gets fixed up, and then they send it up again.
Yeah.
Well, this time there has been a photo released of the Earth looking like a marble, with part of it being sort of eclipsed down at the bottom. And it was taken from what looks like what could be the cargo bay of this X-37B top secret spy plane, space plane, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And the picture itself is pretty cool because you get to see a view of Earth. But the thing about it was this thing is crazy far away sort of orbit. And when you compare the space station, this thing was out there like 1,600 times further or something crazy than the space station. So it's like out pretty close to almost where the moon would be. Yeah. And of course, being close is sort of subjective because, space, a vast distance of space, but it makes it one of the furthest orbits out there that I've ever seen a picture being taken from.
Yeah.
It's made by Boeing, and it gets launched by SpaceX. The SpaceX Falcon sort of launched it up there. But they released that picture, and the picture came from the United States military. And it's what they call an orbital test vehicle, like OTV. Mm-hmm. That's its secret code name, right? And it's been out since like 2010. And they say it's done 6 previous trips, and it has the cargo area can be retrofitted or refitted or whatever to do your different types of missions. But it executed a series of first-of-the-kind maneuvers called aerobraking to safely sort of change its orbit using minimal fuel to get this really far orbit. It's a highly elliptical orbit, and it journeys around the Earth in sort of an oval shape, Mm-hmm. The spacecraft is about 1,000 kilometers at its closest to Earth and more than 35,700 kilometers from the planet at its furthest point. That's ridiculously far away, right? And so when you talk about high Earth orbits and stuff, this thing eclipses that. So, and it's one of the most secret aircrafts that's in existence, right?
Yeah.
That thing is nuts. So the current mission into space is known as OTV-7. And it was launched into space by SpaceX. And there's no one manning the space plane during orbit. And it can be launched at speeds that humans couldn't withstand. So, and that's the same thing for global reentry. You don't have to worry about a human. You can kind of do whatever you want. And so since entering orbit in 2023, the Space Force says that X-37B has been conducting radiation effect experiments and has been testing space domain awareness technologies in a highly elliptical orbit. What do you think of that?
Okay.
37,500 kilometers.
That's very far.
Yes. But the picture is very cool.
Yeah.
And it's not like a picture that's taken with a smartphone. You know what I mean? It's not like a potato cam up there. And like, wow, that looks pretty neat.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's taken from inside this aircraft.
Yeah.
Like the cargo bay. It's fantastic. So, but yeah, it's doing first-of-a-kind maneuvers. So how is it doing all that? So this thing is kind of automated. You don't know a lot about it because it's secret, but what if it's just like if it acts as a drone There's been no drone that's been further away.
That's
A drone.
yeah.
I'm not talking about like Voyager. Voyager's been out there, and it's the furthest thing out there, and it just executes a set of commands every once in a while. I'm talking about this thing could be way more advanced than that. So it can probably think a little bit on its own. I don't know. But yeah, the picture was amazing. So if it launched in 2023, is it still up there? I mean, that's been up there for quite a long time. This thing's, some of the missions has been up for, I know, for really close to a year, maybe even a little bit longer. So it's nuts. Pretty picture, though. They should release a high-res version. Actually, they probably already have released a high-res version somewhere. You can print it like a poster. You can talk if you want. You know, just sit there and look at your phone.
No, I had to mute something. So. You should probably...
I should do some mutes?
Yeah.
Are we getting messages from the neighbors?
Yes.
They're like, hey, guys, there's this thing called Starlink. Well, we got a lot of those after the hurricanes. Like, you should get Starlink. It works great.
It's this new thing.
It's pretty neat. It's like, come on, man. We told you guys this like years ago. And he's like, whatever. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, speaking of top secret stuff, so evidently there is a new biocomputer.
With human brain cells.
With brain cells. So we're just moving headlong into some sort of dystopian thing where we have full-on, for-real cyborgs.
Okay.
My biocomputer.
What was
it's
it?
Just, like, whoa, don't shake that.
What was
Can you imagine getting a case for that for your biocomputer?
Last year I saw a video of somebody with, like, biocomputer enhancements, and it just looks so uncomfortable and painful. And I was just like...
You know what happens with time? Things get better.
Yeah, but this just creeps me out a little, so...
Yeah, because where are they getting these brain cells from? So in 2025, in March, I think it's March 2nd, 2025, in Barcelona, the groundbreaking system known as Synthetic Biological Intelligence, Synthetic Biological Intelligence, SBI, promises to be more dynamic, resilient, and energy efficient than existing technologies. And this is from an Australian company called Cortical Labs. And earlier they had unveiled the CL1, the world's first biological computer, which integrates human brain cells with silicon hardware to create advanced neural networks. You ever seen like science fiction movies and space movies and stuff where they pull open the thing and get in a computer and it's all liquid and goo and weird stuff? And it's just basically a cheap way to kind of get around the idea of having to make something look really cool on camera.
But it's also kind of reality because it's like, bioorganic materials to create technology.
Yeah.
And like I think we did something last year about how like mycelium networks can, like basically mushroom networks.
Oh, can travel through all the different multiverses.
And how researchers are trying to like basically borrow from their understanding of mycelium networks to use with real networks and real computers. So
it's all mushrooms and brain cells.
Which makes sense. I mean,
yeah.
That entire classification of plant, fungi, whatever, their whole existence has been adapting. So
they all exist on the quantum level? What happens in one fungi spore instantaneously happens in all fungi spores?
Not instantaneously. They actually found that out recently.
You don't know.
So
no, just stop. So CL1 combines lab-grown human brain neurons within a planar array of 59 electrodes, and that's what enables the bidirectional communication going back and forth, which is effectively the on, the off, the on, the off, right? That's how they get their signal. So it has its own integrated life support system to ensure the health of the cells, while the entire module operates on 850 to 1,000 watts of power. What?
Okay.
You're just looking at me weird.
I know. I'm just trying to think that through.
I thought you were all like, this guy. I know he's
making me make my own pizza with my own brain cells.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood, right? Yeah.
So
I mean, it said the entire module operates on 850 to 1,000 watts of power, and the fun thing is that when they were making it before they kind of came up with this version, they were using a CMOS chip to help it do functions faster. CMOS chip's same thing as in your digital camera. If you have a quality digital camera, I'm not talking about one of these cheap garbage digital cameras. Complementary metal oxide semiconductor is what that stands for. So I wonder if they were using Canon chips. So, but yeah, so it's continually evolving neural networks capable of learning and adaptation. So in 2022, the team demonstrated a self-improving brain by training 800,000 neurons derived from human and mouse cells to play a video game. Where are they getting these cells from? I mean, you can get a mouse at any pet store. Where are they getting, like, volunteers for this? They just, or how are they? I don't understand. How are they getting them?
I don't know.
They just show up and say, "Hey, man."
Are they lab-grown human brain neurons? So I'm assuming when you donate your body to science, they take samples of your brain, and then they, I guess now
walking to your car and somebody jumps on your head, puts you in a headlock.
No.
Pulls out the big turkey baster.
No. And then checks your donor ID, donor
status
they on your driver's license.
Snatch and grab.
No, that's
sucker.
illegal. Stop.
Yes. So anyway, they put these neurons in a silicon substrate where electrical stimuli enable them to function like a real computer. So Cortical Labs has also developed a WhatsApp as service. It's a cloud platform, allowing users to rent CL1's computing power.
I don't know if I want to do that.
So, what do you think about that? It's kind of weird. Right? They can evolve and adapt like living organisms. So the engineers behind this technology claim it offers remarkable speed and flexibility in learning and makes it far more superior than traditional silicone chips used in training large language models like ChatGPT. So what they're saying is you could make your own artificially intelligent computer using human brains. So you know what's next, right?
What?
I don't know. I thought maybe you'd know what's next.
I don't.
No, man. Artificial intelligence. So this is where it comes from. And it has the potential to revolutionize not only brain research, but practical application of AI in medicine, robotics, and pharmaceuticals. And they'll have the ability to model diseases, test new drugs without animal testing, and create adaptive control systems. It's the beginning of the end, man. We're constantly integrating new cell types into artificial brains, but our progress has been limited by the lack of the appropriate tools. So CL1 was developed to address questions like, what is a minimal viable brain? It says now we can conduct highly controlled experiments to understand the drivers of the intelligence and apply that knowledge to the drug design, disease modeling, and other complex challenges. So they're going to fire the spark, and then Frankenstein's monster in a computer is going to get us all. You don't know how bad it's going to be until it's bad.
Okay.
You know, because you don't have that ability to go, we shouldn't have did that until after, right? Your little after action report says, we should have stopped right there. But by then it might be too late. So, I mean, having a computer think about things and become artificially intelligent is one thing. But when you have, when you put humanistic aspects in there, like brain cells, so it's going to have something going on. This is like that anime I watched. I can't think of what it's called now. Cyborg Humans. Is it Cyberpunk? No.
Ghost in the Machine?
Yeah.
Serial Experiments Lane? Literally 30% of the animes
sounds
from the
great.
early 80s and 90s.
No, it was one with a cure and a motorcycle and all that stuff.
Okay, that was 80s, right? Oh,
sure.
God, it should have been. Oh, I should.
Yeah, I thought you were, you're the girl in the chair.
1988.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been done a couple different times. Yeah. I've watched, I think, 5 or 6 of those different anime series.
Ghost in the Machine was 93.
Ghost in the Machine. 93? Mm-hmm. The original version?
Yep.
That seems like it was, should be older than that.
No, you're...
So while you're Googleizing that, and don't forget to butterize the...
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell, there you go. You said Ghost in the Machine?
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell.
89.
Well, that's close enough.
Yeah.
So do you know what the name of the airplane fleet or the jet fleet that goes in and out of Area 51 is called?
No, I didn't know that. You mean... Well, I don't think it intentionally goes in and out of Area 51. Does it?
You can't just drive in there necessarily. They don't. You can fly from the airport.
Okay.
It's called the Janet fleet.
I just thought they were known for transporting military personnel to special locations. That's what I thought.
They transfer Area 51 people to special locations.
So
you just go get on the plane and fly in.
it's not just that. I'm sure it's other classified locations.
Maybe.
Yeah.
When are you looking at me like that?
Because that's what it says in the first line.
All right, well.
Yeah.
So it's a secretive airline service using 737 jets made by Boeing. They transfer stuff. So Area 51 recently had 3 flights that take off from Harry Reid International Airport in Vegas and land in Area 51 within 18 minutes. That's the unusual part.
Yeah.
There's some speculation about their purpose. In other words, they're like, what are they doing? To have 3 flights in 18 minutes?
Yeah. That is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't really say a whole lot. This is from coast to coast. It's like, were they bringing people in? Were they taking people off? What were they doing? If they were like 3 Boeing 737 showed up and they were, empty when they got there and filled up when they left, to me that'd be an evacuation. Like, we got to go. We got to get out of here. Something's going on. So, yeah, they left from Harry Reid International Airport in Vegas and Area 51 within 18 minutes. Doesn't take very long to get there, right?
Yeah.
A little hot skip.
I feel like you use DuckDuckGo, and I just have to say, it seems to strip out my usual tools or results. Like mainstream
Oh, you mean
news.
the truth?
It strips
The
it
truth.
out. Like, how can I verify this? Or how can I find additional information missing from this article?
Well, I like DuckDuckGo because when I want to search for something, it shows me more along the lines of what I want to see versus, hey, do you know you could buy this crap off Amazon right now? No? Would you like to buy it from Walmart right now? It's just like all advertisements and junk. The first 75 results are like all like stuff I don't care about. I want to get to the, and it gives you the option. It'll show, like, if you do a search, it'll say, hey, look, these are cells-related things, but here's the crap you really want. Do you really want to search by your own search terms? Well, yes, I do.
No, because it's bugging me about, like, that actress that bought a town that wasn't Kim Basinger, because I could have sworn it was another actress.
Oh, I'm sure plenty of celebrity fools have done that in the past, but Basinger and Alec Baldwin were the big one because I think the town tried to sue them.
Yeah, because this actress...
Because they stopped paying the bill or something. They stopped paying the lights. Yeah. They stopped paying the utility bill, and they were like, oh, we got to get out of here.
Because this actress did not spend as much as Kim Basinger, but it was just like, what? When you found out.
I thought that Kim Basinger actually bought a second town after the whole Alex Baldwin debacle.
And then, like, this thing about the Air Force jets, I know when I use Google, I actually usually get a certain result about, like, takeoffs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but these are just contracted. They're not necessarily Air Force.
But... No.
But what's the urgency? I mean, okay, so there were some politicians that were like, we are going to see, Area 51?
Yeah.
And we are going to look for government excess. And we're coming.
And we're going to spend 3 jets worth?
Sure. Listen, that's probably nothing compared to, like, if you start to, I don't want to get into politics, but I don't know anybody that's over 200 years old that's still collecting Social Security. If that's true, I want to get in on that.
You do realize that was a programming error through COBOL, because when they wrote that system...
How do I know that? How do you know that?
Actually, I read about it.
On DuckDuckGo?
No.
No,
please. The system used to create the database for individuals.
That's what they're saying.
It's been proven.
By who? So did the money actually go somewhere?
They showed an example of person who
it's like, oh, well, the person isn't really 300 years old, but we sent them $180 million?
Because their birth date was X date, the way the system interpreted the information, and then they're estimated. Because with the Social Security system, you had to set certain things.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, mind you, I read this over a week and a half ago, so I don't have it, and DuckDuckGo's not showing it to me.
No, why?
Why?
Truth.
That's not true.
Only shows the truth, man. So if you're sitting here telling me that there's no government excess spending.
Oh, there is.
Absolutely,
but that's
there
not
is.
a good example.
So the point I was trying to make before you went off on some sort of truth tangent was that if the politicians that were supposed to be looking for government excess that were talking about Area 51, did they actually go? I can't remember her name. I'm pretty sure it's a lady. And if they did show up, how come we haven't heard anything? Or what's going on? It's still unusual to have that many flights because they don't really have that many flights that close together. I think they fly people in to start their work, and then when they're done, they fly people out. Mm-hmm. Why 3 jets in like 18 minutes?
I think your idea that certain politicians were like, we want to see this, I think that's right. I think it's like, they were like, okay, fine, you're invited between these hours and these hours, and maybe 2 politicians ran late, and that's why the 2 other jets. Yeah. But
just because you're a congressman or a senator doesn't mean you have the secret or top secret access.
And also, it doesn't mean you can be late. I mean, you should show up on time to catch the first plane.
If you're a military plane, you're going to wait for that congressman or senator, just like you'll wait for a general who's like, I need you here at 7. So by the time it trickles down to you, you're there at 5:30. And then at 8:30, the general has canceled because their schedule wouldn't allow it. That's how the military works. That whole hurry up and wait, that is a true thing. Yeah, guys, we got an inspection. We need to be out in formation. We're going to be out there at parade rest and be ready to be inspected at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to need you to get here at 7. And then by the time it gets to your little department leader, I'm going to need you guys here at 5:45. And then you get out there and everybody gets all formed up and ready. And then the dude doesn't even show up. But everybody's scared to make a decision, so you'll stand out there for an extra hour just in case the general is trying to pull an okie doke on you or admiral. And so it's like 10 o'clock comes by. You've been out there since 5:45 in the morning. Nobody got a chance to eat because you're there super early. For what? Mm-hmm. And then people are like, well, got to be ready. It's like, I could have been here.
Oh, here it is.
Half hour beforehand.
I know. It's just to see 3 jets and, the likely scenario that's different politicians. It just reminded me of something I'm going through, which is...
Well, it's a possible scenario. Who knows?
I'm taking part in these classes, and there's other notable people in these classes, and they require in-person field trips. And it doesn't matter how important you are, if you are not there to ride as a group at 7:55 to 8 a.m., you get left behind. And, it just something. And these are people who are way more important than me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but here at Area 51, they'll wait. I'm just like, that's,
yeah.
And here it is right here about the whole Social Security thing.
Oh, look, nobody, come on.
I did.
All right, hurry up, wrap it up.
Okay, so basically the original systems that were built, the original Social Security software system is based on the COBOL programming language, which has a lack of date type. That means that some entries with missing or incomplete birth dates default to a reference point of more than 150 years ago. The news organization Wired first reported on the use of COBOL programming language at the SSA years ago. Now, what happened was the new system tried to properly annotate death information in its database, which included roughly 18.9 million Social Security numbers of people born in 1920 or earlier, but were not marked as deceased. This does not mean, however, that these individuals were issued or receiving benefits. So the agency decided not to update the database because of the cost to do so compared to how many people they still had to support who were alive past the, before 1920.
It sure is convenient.
It's not, because as of September 2015,
fact, I know a little bit about
the
COBOL.
agency automatically, as of September 2015, the agency automatically stops payments to people who are older than 115 years old. So there are not 200-year-olds getting Social Security because the system is designed to at least stop after 115.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Fun fact, I learned COBOL, Fortran, and some other dead programming in high school and junior high.
Because I remember some of these problems because I was alive in the early 90s and late 90s. So I remember
you were
some
like
of this
7,
stuff.
10 maybe.
Going to ECPI.
Yeah. All right.
So, yeah.
So, all right. So anyway, unscheduled landing. Don't know why. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
So speaking of our cryptid news, because we try to do different sections, like we did the alien section, which is talking about the movies with Spielberg, right? We did a tech section, which is talking about the spy plane.
Oh.
We did a weird stuff section, which is basically, why are these weird planes coming in and out? It's just weird that they're doing it out of Area 51. And then some cryptid news, since we've talked about states trying to adopt Sasquatch and changing jerseys and all that stuff to sort of, let's bring in some cryptid stuff so it can bring in some dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And now, we also talked about people stealing Bigfoots. And this is in the past, like statues and statuary, right?
And always like right before our Bigfoot festival, too,
Yeah.
by the way. Yeah.
You just take it. So in West Virginia, somebody has severed the arm of a celebrated West Virginia Sasquatch statue. They took it.
Oh, I'm on the article now,
Okay,
and
so
like
it's this big,
I've seen
squared
this.
off robot-looking
Yeah.
Sasquatch. And so they took the arm.
Yeah.
And so this Bigfoot statue in West Virginia is less one arm, thanks to a sinister miscreant. Right.
Yeah. And it stinks because this statue is
It's on the Elk River Trail Park.
Yeah. And it's a part of West Virginia's new popular paranormal trail that they created. They are going full force with their tourism and promoting this paranormal trail that you can...
Yeah, you can get a paranormal passport and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's
we put
cool.
links in one of our podcast episodes to it.
This is one of the stops, and it is a really cool Bigfoot statue because I've seen some photos on Instagram. It does look kind of blocky and robotic-ish,
I think it looks
but
pretty cool.
It's neat, and man...
They say severed. Like, how did they sever the arm? Is it like, this thing's made of, it's like wood, like
the
log
vandal
or something.
purposefully and carefully cut off the cryptid's right arm. It looks like a saw-wielding ne'er-do-well with bad intentions did it.
So it didn't just fall off? Like this
Yeah.
thing wasn't like made of a frame or something?
My thing is, like, they're saying...
Fall off and they took it?
Yeah.
So kids carved the piece.
Yeah, that's the
It's made of kids. And they did
Yeah.
10 sweltering summer days.
And since this Sasquatch statue is technically on state property, the perpetrator could face serious repercussions for the crime should authorities catch the culprit who, is hoping nobody notices that they have a giant Bigfoot arm suddenly. All right, that's a little cheesy, but, I mean, yeah, you basically damage state property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are you going to take the arm? That's just not cool.
I know.
So speaking of how Bigfoot can be the official state status or have official state status,
Yeah.
and this is if a California assembly bill passes, where they can basically make Bigfoot have official state status.
Yeah.
Kind of goes in line with like we were talking about before in previous podcasts. Let's just claim Sasquatch and Bigfoot as a means of tourism and stuff to get people to come on in.
Yeah.
So, but now California does have a lot of Bigfoot sightings and stuff, and so it kind of makes sense. And talk about like when you look at the California redwood and stuff, and Sasquatch can be right in there with it. So, there's an assemblyman who's basically saying we should adopt Bigfoot, Sasquatch, as its latest official emblem.
Oh, wow.
It's Chris Rogers, who's out of Santa Rosa, and he authored a bill AB 666.
Yeah.
In hopes
Assembly
of making
Bill
Bigfoot,
666.
yeah, in hopes of making Bigfoot the state cryptid.
Yeah, but I told you my theory about this, right?
No.
Okay, so this kind of goes along with if you want a rabbit hole, look up California thinks bees are fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just say they make Bigfoot the state cryptid. Well, as we know, Bigfoot lives in remote nature areas. California's had recent wildfires. This would say that this would help designate him as a rare or possibly endangered animal, granted a cryptid one, and would possibly allow for further protections in these fragile, remote, natural areas.
Oh.
So, while completely underhanded, this would allow California to create more protections in like critical nature areas. Because like
I don't think that's this guy's intention though.
Okay.
Because basically, the last recorded spotting of a large, muscular, hairy, ape-like creature in that state, according to BFRO, Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, was in Humboldt County in 2024.
Yeah.
Humboldt County was also known for all the weed and stuff going on up there.
And it's also running into weed problems because we watched that documentary. People are going on to national forest and public land areas.
But before weed, there was like 48 reported sightings in Humboldt going all the way back to 1957.
Yeah.
Including 3 children who basically had a daytime sighting when they seen it. And then this is near Eureka.
So let's kick the weed and the wine out and call Humboldt a natural area for Sasquatch.
So, if you look beyond the Eureka motto and the bear flag, the official state symbols are extensive. And they have like over 40 registered symbols for California. Denim is the official state fabric. Saber-toothed cat is the official state fossil. The state rock is serpentine. And so they want to add Bigfoot to it so it can become the official state cryptid, and they can start including that in some of the state symbols. I mean, why not? There's enough Bigfoot sightings there to make it worth it. I mean, you would think that I think California probably made Bigfoot or Sasquatch incredibly popular compared to most everywhere else. So, I don't know.
Oh.
Let them do it. Why not?
I wonder what is California's state dog?
I don't know.
Oh, they don't have an official state dog. Huh.
You think they would. They got everything else. Why not that?
Yeah. Because I think New Mexico is trying to make their state dog the res dog. And then,
That's
yeah.
Hard to pin that one down. Like, what kind of breed is that? It's a res dog. What does that mean? Well,
yeah,
a little this, a little that.
There was a movement to do that, right? And then
Sure that wasn't like a joke movement? No?
No, it was serious.
Okay.
Yeah. But North Carolina's official state dog is the Plot Hound.
Well, yeah, we know that.
Even though we have 2, Carolina claims Carolina invented the Carolina Dingo, which is a hybrid between a coyote and 2 other types of dogs. And then North Carolina invented the Plot Hound. So,
well, there you go. Selective breeding. I think that goes for some of the people who live here, too.
Stop it.
Just saying. Come on down, Carolina town. Yeah. All right, so we're going to wrap up the podcast with this ghost hunter that was actually murdered in Mexico.
That's creepy.
Yeah. So a popular online paranormal investigator was basically killed in what appears to have been a targeted shooting. So somebody shot this dude on purpose. It wasn't like he was, doing some urban exploration or investigating a scary place and got popped by somebody. Yeah. So the ghost hunter is Sergio VG. That was basically set up to do a live on his YouTube channel.
Oh. And
before the broadcast could begin, the paranormal investigator and a companion were surprised by a Hummer that pulled up beside the vehicle, and from the mysterious SUV, armed men opened fire on these guys at close range. And it killed the ghost hunter, but injured his friend.
Oh, man.
So investigators launched an investigation immediately, and they haven't really made any arrests yet. So on the day before he was killed, the paranormal investigator posted a video wherein he showed how someone had scratched the doors and stolen the hubcaps from his SUV.
Gosh.
And vowing revenge on the vandals, the ghost hunter seemed to suggest something sinister was afoot, as he noted that a peculiar I can't even say it. Peculiar? Yeah, truck had been seen cruising around his neighborhood.
Huh.
So did he talk smack and say here's what he's going to do, and the people that shot him seen the video and they were involved with the whole vandalism thing, or what?
I don't know.
Yeah, nobody knows. It's just a crazy thing. It's like, so this guy had a popular YouTube channel, he's a paranormal investigator, and then boom, he makes a video and gets popped the next day.
That is weird.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I put that in there because you never know. You got to be careful what you put online.
Yeah.
You never know who's watching.
And that's the other thing, like ghost hunters and stuff like that. They put some of these locations they investigate online, and that's why, like, especially here in North Carolina, you get resistance. Like, you find out a place is haunted, you make connections, friendships, and you say, hey, we've heard a lot of great stories about this place. We'd love to investigate it. And the first thing people see is stuff like this, where they're like, oh no, that means there's going to be video footage of where my property is.
Yeah.
This means after you guys leave.
Or unwanted attention that shows up.
After you guys leave, I've got to deal with the unwanted attention afterward.
Yeah.
So, stuff
much
like
the little note that was left on our van telling us that we should just basically leave nature and Bigfoot be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my first thought, I'm like, who are you to put a half-ripped manila folder and when your little chicken scrawl tell me what I can and cannot do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there you go. You never know who's listening. You never know what the deal is with things that you post online.
We hold
and
grudges.
This circles back. No, I just thought it was just like, why would you? Because we had to stop and take it off the windshield. So it was an inconvenience. And we only hold grudges when things are inconvenient. Yeah. And so there you go. So stop posting politics when you go into these sites where people want to talk about cryptids and ghosts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This was just circling back to that.
And it costs $0 to waste a piece of paper to let somebody know your opinion.
And your opinion is worth $0 in the grand scheme of things. How much is your opinion worth? Well, to me, it's worth $0. To somebody else, it might be worth $1 million.
It costs 0 trees to not share that with me.
I think people should, at the end of the day, just realize, who do you think you are? Right? That goes for everybody. Who do you think you are? And before you open your mouth and say stuff, just remember that. Who do I think I am? Who do you think you are? To tell me anything. Mm-hmm. Or who am I to tell you anything?
Yeah.
So I'll just stay in our own lanes. You know what I mean? Stay in our own lanes, and let's just all settle down a little bit. So, there you go. Sorry, anyway.
If you'd like to give us feedback on staying in our lane, be sure to find us on social media.
Yes. You couldn't even get through your own little cleverness there, did you? I know. So anyway, I do appreciate you taking time to listen to the podcast. This was episode 322, which is Gene Hackman death, mysterious illness, X37B photograph, Bigfoot Cali Cryptid, Area 51, and other news. So it's been fun. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. Yeah. So anyway, see you later. Take it easy. Bye, Sickle.
Bye.